Hey folks, welcome to Guitar Daily. It's Nick Granville coming to you from Wellington, New Zealand. So I've been pondering this idea, like, what even is a session musician anymore? I call myself a session musician. It's what I do. And there was a period of time where it's pretty much all I did, right? I was able to do enough session work that I could pretty much live off it. Not the case anymore, right? Now my existence as a professional musician is doing some sessions, maybe 1 or 2 a week. If it's a good week, there's 2. If it's a bad week, there's 1. If it's a really bad week, there's none. But there's doing that, and then there's doing gigs. I do a fair few gigs, and then there is like a little bit of teaching. I don't consider myself a teacher. If someone said to me, "What do you do for a job?" I wouldn't say I was a guitar teacher. And there are people that do that, and that's legitimate. But for me, I probably only teach about 5 lessons a week maximum. Generally, it's 2, maybe 3 on a normal kind of week, and some weeks none at all. But that's kind of how it goes for me. Most of my teaching, if I do it, it's like one-off lessons or stuff like that, master classes or clinics, that kind of stuff. But it got me thinking, and I saw this post by Adam Goldsmith. If you don't know who Adam Goldsmith is, he's a London-based session musician. Legit, like he's the real deal. He's the busiest guy in London, probably. I've known of Adam for a long time before I actually got to meet him. I interviewed him. There's an interview on my channel if you want to check it out. But he did this post recently where he was talking about the realities of studying at music school, partly what inspired my video of doing the same thing. But he also got talking about session musician and sort of his thoughts on it. And one thing he said that was pretty poignant was that there's nobody left anymore who just does sessions for a living. And that got me thinking, like, who is there? Tom Bukovac? Not really, right? Tom does do a lot of sessions, and you would still call him a session musician, but he's putting out courses now and doing online stuff and all these sort of things, courses in conjunction with people, but that sort of stuff. And it got me thinking about the great Tommy Tedesco, one of my heroes of the session, everybody's hero of the session world. I mean, you've heard him on themes like Batman to MASH to all kinds of stuff that were, daily stuff we used to hear all the time, and all kinds of movie soundtracks and stuff. People say Tommy Tedesco is the most recorded guitarist of all time. But I was thinking, did Tommy make a living just out of playing sessions? I don't know that he did. I mean, he probably could have, but he started Musicians Institute along with Howard Roberts and a few other people, and they kind of got that whole thing and did teaching, and he did clinics from time to time, and the primary thing he did was doing sessions, but he also did other stuff. But it got me thinking, like, what does it mean to be a session musician nowadays, right? And I think the definition has changed. I still call myself a session musician, and I think the reason is that it's primarily what I do, right? I do recording work for people. I play on albums, I play on jingles, I play on all kinds of stuff. Theatre show soundtracks, they'll get me to record guitar parts if they're only touring one guitar, or record the second guitar. I've done a fair bit of that kind of stuff over the years. So there's recording work. I have a session to do tomorrow, which is playing on a track for someone and an old friend, so that'll be fun. But that's what I do, right? And then I think that some of the gigs I do, I would really call like kind of session gigs. So where you're recording with an orchestra, or you're recording with like a put together band. And I guess in a lot of ways, session musician now kind of means someone who records a fair bit and kind of is more like a hired gun. I hate that term. I think it sounds like shit, but hired gun for lack of a better term. But someone who's kind of like a hired musician, what kind of is like a sideman. But I think it means more than that. A sideman who kind of records a lot. It doesn't have to be your exclusive thing, but I think that's kind of it. And I've kind of been thinking, like, does that define me? And I guess in a way it does, right? That's what I do. Will it change? Will I probably do more teaching in the future? Maybe. Who knows? Like, I never thought I would get to this point where my career would end up as it is now. If I'd looked back 10 years ago, I wouldn't have pictured it being this. And even 10 years prior to that, I wouldn't have pictured it being that then and then now. Do you see what I'm saying? So it's it's forever changing, and you grow with it, right? And that's what's amazing about, Guthrie Trapp and Tom Bukovac and, these Nashville guys are putting out courses and doing stuff, and they're kind of diversifying what they do. And I think that's kind of the key thing. But I still consider myself a session musician. Like if I describe myself as a gigging musician, I don't think that really does it. Because if I think of gigging musician, it's someone who really plays in pubs and does, like that kind of stuff, right? Which I don't really do. I don't do pub gigs very often. Like I play at the blues club once every so often. I used to play a fair bit at a little club called Hashigo, which in Wellington was like our baked potato in Los Angeles, but our kind of version of it. But that was just a hang, it was a chance to play and kind of get some people together to make some music. And we really did that for us, and people dug it, so that was cool. But gigging musician doesn't do it. Teacher doesn't really do it. So really, session musician, for lack of a better term, is what I think I do. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think session musician means? Let me know in the comments below. Do you consider yourself a session musician? And if so, why? And like, what do you think it means nowadays? Yeah, it's different from what it once was, and I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to get to and understand in my mind. Does it even really matter what we call ourselves? I don't think it really does. Thinking of myself as a session musician, yeah, it's what I do, but I really just think of myself as a musician, right? Guitar happens to be it. I do recording work for people, but it's only part. I put out albums of my own music. I do, I consider myself an artist, right? That's really what I do, but sometimes an artist for hire, right? Yeah, I'd be genuinely interested to know what your perspective on this is, because I think it's changed. I think the session musician thing has changed from what it once was. Let me know in the comments below. Thanks very much. I'll see you tomorrow. Cheers.